Most of us did not know any of this year's 170-plus murder victims in Atlanta. But even if they were strangers, their deaths may have affected the way we live or the attitudes we have about Atlanta. Many of the people we talked with said they had been affected.
I moved outside the city limits because of it. It's not as hectic, not that many people out where I live. And I'm pretty nervous when I come downtown now.
My lifestyle has changed. My attitude has changed.
In what way?
I don't go out as much after dark as I once would have done.
I'm a little bit more concerned about what's happening here in Atlanta. I'm very proud of Atlanta and the reputation it has had. And I think I'm concerned about the reputation we're getting on a national, situation.
Oh, yeah, I'd be worried about coming outside at night,
It hasn't affected me. The kind of homicides that we've had in the city have been domestic arguments. It hasn't been, to me, people just walking down the street and getting shot down and killed. I think Atlanta's a great place to live.
Domestic murders are the key to our attitude, says psychiatrist Dr. Alfred Messer. He says we can accept domestic murders, no matter how many they are, without being affected much.
In that kind of intra-group homicide, we tend to read about it, and even though the statistics mount, we would say, well, that couldn't happen to us, we're in better control. So that when we read about intra-group or in-group homicides, we tend to shuck it off.
Based on our interviews, people also tend to shuck off drug-related killings like the triple murder on Virginia Place, as long as innocent people are not caught in the violence. They may be upset at the idea of murder, but they perceive drug murders as isolated incidents involving a small group of people. What people cannot accept, what keeps them afraid, are the random, senseless killings. Those are a small percentage of the total, with domestics being the big majority and drug killings a growing minority. But it only takes a few unexplained murders or robbery murders to affect people.
That's the kind of crime that excites all of us, because we could be potentially that victim.
You say that the general populace will tend to avoid high crime areas and what have you, but if what we're really afraid of is this kind of crime where you never know it's going to strike, how can you deal with that?
There's no way you can deal with it.
That may be, but are people more cautious and afraid than they have to be? Atlanta Urban League Executive Director Lyndon Wade says they are, and he blames the news media. He says the media are scaring people with coverage that is overly sensational and repetitive.
I think by and large we've tended to make people anxious about it. And it's not that they shouldn't be anxious. Certainly, if this is happening around you, there's cause for alarm. But I think that again, the way we have told it and communicated it, we've added to the anxiety levels of people, and that the normal fears have been exacerbated.
Wade does not want the media to stop covering murders. He wants the coverage toned down. But apart from that issue, it's clear that many of us have been affected by the murder problem, and few of us like the way it's affected us. Tomorrow we'll look at life after murder for a murderer. For segment 2, I'm Paul Miller.